So hello, this is going to form part of the Crossdresser Heaven 10-year celebration video. Tonight I'm interviewing Amy Myers, who's going to tell us about how she found CDH, any effects CDH has had on her life since then. Basically just let's talk about CDH and how it's been for you, Amy. So starting off, how did you find it to start with?
I was just surfing on the internet one day. I was just looking, I had found the website that was selling breast forms and all the stuff that we use to try and transform ourselves, or at least many of us. And that really, oh my goodness, that somehow touched a nerve. So I started looking for similar places, avoiding the other less savory porn fetish stuff. And CDH came up more than once. And I looked at it. I thought, whoa, I don't want to, it's too scary. But I kept coming back. And then I started to, okay, I'll join up. So I was joining, and then I chickened out. And I think I did that, well, I did it 3 or 4 times. Okay. And then finally, I went through with it. Finally joined. Then I became a member of Crossdresser Heaven. So that was a scary experience still. When I think about it, from this perspective, I wonder why the hell I was so scared. Now it seems silly, but it definitely wasn't at the time.
Oh, no, I get that. And even today, we still get members joining, and the first thing they'll say is, I've been very nervous about doing this. I've never done this sort of thing before. I was the same. I'd never joined any community. I'm not on Facebook. I don't do social media. But I get where you're coming from. And what year was this?
I believe it was early in 2019.
Okay.
I guess somewhere in the archives, there's the actual date that I joined.
Yeah.
Right. And then very quickly, people started friending me and being nice to me, right? And asking me some questions. And I slowly became much more comfortable with it and with the community. And there's a huge amount to read. You know, I guess even now it's got more than was 6.5 years ago. You probably spent days reading through articles and whatnot. Then, quite soon after I joined, and I don't know who the first person was, 2 people from my area, Southern Ontario in Canada, contacted me to tell me about a CD/trans social group in the area.
Okay.
And then they invited me. And that's another scary story.
Okay, we're intrigued now. You'll have to go
Okay.
on. You can't just stop there.
One of them was one of the ambassadors who was in Canada, and she described it and where they met in Toronto, and said, at some point, maybe if you get confident enough, you'll want to do that. And I replied in kind, saying, yeah, it'll take me some time. Maybe the end of the year or next, I don't know, but it'll not for me right now.
Had you been out dressed before that?
Not really. I live in a rural area and I have a fairly large rural property, and I put a t-shirt and miniskirt on, not in January, but the year before, when I'd started buying clothes and whatnot, and I'd walked around. I'd gone for a drive. I was terrified. There's nobody here. Nobody to see me. So then, being the silly, almost paranoid, then I get wondering, and it's a late model car, but what happens if I have a flat tire? What happens if the car breaks down? Something stupid happens, and here I'm stuck on a side road, and I'm dressed not quite as spiffy as I am for you tonight, Allie, but and it's like, oh my God. So then I started going out with, I'll use the term buddy bag. In other words, guy shoes, jeans, and a top. If it was cool, a jacket. So like, if something stupid happens, I could just go in the back seat, go back to boy mode.
Yeah.
Then the thing is, that's what I said to Stephanie at that particular day, and I meant it. 2 days later was like, wow, I want to do this. So I ended up going to their very next meeting in the following month.
Okay.
At the time, and the place is now closed, a victim of the pandemic. They met on the upstairs of a bar pub in Toronto, and it had the advantage where there were not exclusive washrooms, but these upstairs washrooms nobody used except for somebody using the upstairs room. So it was away from the pub. So you weren't sitting as a CD with a whole bunch of other people and guys and looking at you weird. We were upstairs. You could go in boy mode with your bag of stuff, go to the washroom, change, and then if you wanted, change back, which I did. However, I tell you, putting a bra and pantyhose and stuff on in a narrow little cubicle in a 150-year-old building, which in Toronto was a pretty old building. In England, the architecture is much older. And it's no picnic. The first time I changed back and drove home, and I was almost euphoric. It was an incredible feeling. Can I confess something else?
Yes.
I still had a beard.
Okay.
I grew a beard in my early 20s because I had a bit of a baby face, and I hated being taken for a teenager at the time. So then I grew a beard, and that became my trademark. And then it was like, if I want to be a girl, I can't have a beard. So for the next month, I shaved my beard off.
Yeah.
And somebody I got to know brought some makeup, and they gave me my first lesson in the same bathroom with doing makeup.
Mm-hmm.
Not very good, but I was on my way.
Yeah.
So I very quickly, the term I use in my own mind is I exploded. All of this had been bottled up. It's a pretty, especially those of us this generation. I was born in 1953. So,
55.
okay, coming of age in the 60s, 70s, and sort of trying to feel your way as whatever I am, whatever we think we are. It's not a good thing at the time.
No, I remember.
Yeah.
Yes, I remember.
Yes.
As a interest, yeah, I shaved my beard off last year to go to our Leeds First Friday event in October.
Okay.
Up until I think it was June time, I still had the beard. I'd been a member for 6 months. I didn't do any pictures, so that wasn't a big problem. But for that, I thought, no, I'm not going to go to a thing like that with a beard. It's going to come off. So it came off, and it was the first time in 40 years it had been off. And I still have people yet saying, are you not going to grow your beard back? No. No, not now.
Yes.
Please carry on.
Oops, sorry.
No, carry on.
Coincidentally, I roughly had mine 40 years as well. And then my kids wanted to see pictures almost right away. And only one person who's still alive from before I had a beard wanted to see me without a beard. This is still in boy mode. I have since come out to this person, who's a male friend I met in 1969, and as well as my children.
Yeah.
So a lot of people have contributed a huge amount towards me being where I am now. And I'm very grateful to every one of them. But that first step, that almost too scary first step, was what started it. You know, joining CDH, I had the urge. I knew what I wanted. Over 30 years ago, I had these crazy idea about shaving my beard, having some nice clothes instead of cheap, yucky stuff and a Halloween wig, and looking nice. But it took me like 30 years to do it.
Snap.
Yeah.
Yep, carry on.
Okay, so the people at the group called Expressions were very welcoming, and one particular person introduced me to a whole bunch of other CDs. It was just amazing how networking, and akin to what I experienced at CDH, but only live. You know, I'm from your area. I live a couple of hours drive west of Toronto in a predominantly farming community. And so this person knew a bunch of CDs there, and this couple who have parties and get-togethers and whatnot. So they put me in contact with them. Sadly, that was the only time I met this person. And then, because unbeknownst to me, and I think some others, she was seriously ill. And the illness increased very quickly and overtook her, and she passed a few months later. And then kind of the most amazing thing, I think, is a few years ago, they asked me to be president of this very same group, Expressions. So for nearly 3 years, I've been president of the same group that invited me out and that I got involved with.
Excellent.
Yeah, so it's interesting, but what I'm trying to do is there's that expression, pay it forward. People helped me, so I'm trying to help them. And then through this, I started writing articles for CDH. And there's something like 25 of my articles on CDH.
Yeah.
My first mall trip. And I sent that to somebody recently because they were talking about going to the mall and how scary it can be. And I said, well, yeah, I know. And I sat there in my SUV thinking, am I really going to do this? Oh my God. And then with me, I knew I would be so annoyed with myself if I chickened out and just drove home, right? So I went in, and then some people tried to hard sell me some cosmetics that were overpriced. Maybe they're probably very good, but I'm not paying $300 for a bottle of face cream. But through it all, I was always treated with respect. Even though I know my presentation wasn't nearly as polished as it is now. Okay. And I was really concerned about passing. I have, I guess, some physical attributes that make it not too difficult. Like I'm only 5'9". As a young man, I was wishing I would be 6'2". Now I'm just as happy I'm only 5'9", about average height. And I have a moderately slim build, and I never did workout, so I don't have the huge biceps. But I definitely have male shoulders and arms. And it was a couple of years ago I got the confidence to wear something like this. I won't wear this to the mall, not this sequin dress with a high slit, but sleeveless, right, that show off my shoulders, and somebody looks, and I get a few double takes because they might take me as a woman, as a cis female, and then they realize, oh, I'm not quite, right? So it's a matter of confidence, and you have to do it to get confidence. It's like playing sports. I play piano, as I've talked about. You have to do it. You have to be exposed to it and somehow make a success, overcome your fears.
Yeah, I can agree with that. I mean, up until October last year, I had never ventured out. Well, I'd been outside the front door late at night in the car for like a 15-minute drive and then quickly ran back up the stairs to the door again. But last year at Leeds was the first time that I was out in public for all to see. And I couldn't have done that without CDH and without being able to go with Ellie and Liz and Fluff. And having other people there beside me made such a difference, to the point where in March this year, I went down to see Fluff. Ellie and I both went there. And in Oxford, we walked about the city centre of Oxford quite happily. At one point, Ellie said to me, "You're supposed to blend in. you're walking about with this bright red jacket on, you're 6 foot without any heels, and you're clacking up and down these supermarket aisles like you don't have a care in the world. And I thought, I couldn't do that without knowing you two were behind me somewhere. And again, for me, I feel like a big debt of gratitude to CDH and to the people there and to the people and friends that I've made there, because they've made such a difference to my life. And I think that's the sort of thing that I'm wanting to express during the course of this video. Don't worry about my rambling. I'll edit this bit out.
Yes, well, that's part of it. With, I got involved with that one group, but I also had the forums at CDH. And even if you don't contribute a whole lot, although, as you might notice, I'm usually not too short of words, and I write the same way. And so I would usually put my comments in. But, you get that community that somebody is that, okay, I'm not the freak I thought I was when I was 13 years old, right? And that somehow gets buried in your head that yeah, I'm some sort of freak. I'm not normal. And it's a difficult thing to overcome, that early kind of programming. My mom knew. My dad caught me. I was wearing a slip of my mother's that I had on as a dress. And I dozed off on my bed in my room. And my dad comes up to tell me that supper is ready. And he looks at me and he says, "Is that one of your mother's slips you have on?" And yes, Dad. Yes. Oh, and he went away. It was the thing I ever said. So, I could have had it much worse. I know people that had suffered abuse because of that. My parents were good to me.
Okay.
They were good to me. And my mom knew. And then now I realize, I think about it now, like if there had been somebody in my stuff, I'd know, even if it's not a drawer I open too often, I would know. It would be like, hey, wasn't the white bra on top or something like that? Whatever it is, right? So I now, in retrospect, believe my mom must have known way more than she ever let on. So,
yeah.
But the community I found at CDH really made a huge difference. And then I went through the usual, which I still am to an extent. It's like, wow, what am I? And then I discover, well, this is part of me, right? And then it becomes a bigger and bigger part of me. So that's another little scary progression, transition, rather than not talking transition to being full-time. But yeah, like trying to figure out what in creation you are, where do I fit in, and how do I work this in with my life? Yes.
Yeah, I completely understand that. Yes, because, I mean, again, yeah, you're right. I think 11, 12, 13, somewhere in that region would be my first experience of that. And really, ever since then, up until last year, I've always had this, I describe it as a cloud, something that stopped me being completely happy. I saw a psychologist for an unrelated thing, and of course didn't tell him about cross-dressing. And as part of the report I got back, one of the things he said in it was, yeah, Alan will never be as happy as anyone else. I thought, that's something to be told by a psychologist.
Isn't that nice to hear? Oh my God.
But as I said, he was only dealing with half of me, because the other half was hidden and oppressed, and you speak about a transition, although it's not in the terms that we use: social transition, surgical transition. It's a transition in here from being I'm this, but I've got this bit that I'm very ashamed of, to now where no, both sides are me. I've got a male side, I've got a female side. Even in male mode, my nails are painted. I've not dangly earrings, but I'll wear studs. Just generally, I let this female side out for air. And of course, now that she's gotten out, she doesn't want to go back, and she wants to experience the life that she's been denied for the past 50 years. And I've spoken to others about this, and I think it's a very common thing, especially in our age bracket, because, as you say, we grew up through the 50s and 60s. Socially, it was not acceptable to be what we are.
That's right.
But I think now the younger generation, I certainly feel I owe a debt of gratitude to the younger generation, because they're far, far more accepting of difference. And think nothing of it. And certainly at Leeds, going out, and meeting, because it was predominantly young people we're speaking to in the pubs, and they seemed drawn to us. But they were brilliant, absolutely brilliant. And I think, it does a lot for this. It really helps this. And as you say, to find a place and say that, well, this is where I belong, and this is my place in the world.
Yeah.
So, I totally get that. Get that.
Two friends of mine were threatened with electroshock therapy when their parents discovered they liked to wear women's clothes. Never happened to them, but it's like, wow. And a little incident a few days ago. I've been taking some physiotherapy because of a shoulder injury on my left side here. And the young woman physiotherapist had some beautiful blue nails, almost the color of my dress here.
Okay.
So I complimented her on the nice nails. They were long, and she was having trouble working buttons on this massager for my shoulder. And she said, "I'm sorry, I'm having trouble with these nails. I'm not used to them." And so what did I say? That's okay. I understand. I understand. So she gives me this astonished look. And I said, well, I dropped the cat out of the bag, right? So I said, I have a pretty defined feminine persona. And she looks at me. So then I showed her a few pictures, including that one that I sent into CDH the other day.
Yeah.
And then she said, "That's you? That's you?" I said, "Yes." And then a great big smile on her face. And she said, "That's amazing." So there you go, complete acceptance. And, reason for her nails, she was going on holidays with a boyfriend. So now she's got a story to tell about a patient. She has to be careful of privacy, but I'm sure she's going to tell her. Anyway, yes.
Yeah, there's a few of the practitioners in my health centre now know about Allie, because I've been in fact, the first time I'd gone in, I wasn't expecting it. It was a back problem I had, and the guy, the nurse practitioner guy said, "If you just take your shoes and socks off." And I thought, oh, yeah, right. So I didn't bother mentioning it. I thought, no, you can see it. So I took the shoes and socks off to reveal bright red toenails. And of course, he's got the trouser leg pulled up a bit, so I've got smooth legs.
Okay.
Not a word. Not one word. Just totally professional, dealt with the stuff, wished me good luck, and pop in and we'll see you in a fortnight. And that was it. Last one was a physiotherapist like yourself. Again, back problem thing. And I just said, well, yeah, you'll find that I'm pretty well hairless. And, it's because I'm somewhere on the trans spectrum. Oh, yeah, okay. That's it.
Yes.
You mentioned photographs. I go to a salon. Well, it's a big multi-use thing. They do massage, they do beauty stuff. They also do waxing. So I go every couple of months and I get full leg, full arm, front waxed. I don't have a lot on my back. And anyway, no one's going to see that. But it's a girl round about 30 maybe that did it the first time. And I explained it. She says, oh, we don't get much men coming in for this. I said, well, I'll tell you what it's about. So I explained, that's brilliant. Do you have any pictures? I said, well, yes, I do. I tend not to show them to people. Oh, I want to see some. So finish the stuff. She goes away, lets me get dressed again. Male clothes. And when I went to pay for it at the desk, you were going to show me photos. I said, all right. Okay, here's a couple from a makeover. There's one from a makeover. There's one where I've done my hair myself. Showed her that. Wow. That's incredible. Yeah, brilliant. Okay, so we'll see you in 2 months then. Yeah, that was it.
Awesome. I guess because we're so conditioned to unacceptance, or at least steeled mentally for unacceptance, then when we get this like unconditional acceptance or even happiness, that wow, that's fabulous, you're doing that, right? It's such a surprise. And I still don't get over it, right? And in a way, I hope I don't.
No, that's right. I get what you're saying. Yeah, yesterday, I don't know if you've been on the forums recently. I posted a thing yesterday saying I'd come out to my brother. We grew up differently. My father left my mum when I was very, very young. Sometime later, he met another woman, married her, had kids. So two sons, one since passed, I'm afraid, but the one that's left is 10 years my junior. So I'm 70, he's 60. He's still in the world of work. But we have a good relationship. And Liz, Liz Costas has come across to the UK. So I was talking to him about her. And I said, actually, I've got a few trans friends. All right, how's that then? I says, well, okay, right, I'll tell you. So told him, explained, I says, all my life I've had this cloud that sort of hangs over me. I've come out, I've done this, and I can't believe how happy I have never been happier or more at peace with myself in my life. And it's, well, that's brilliant. He says, more people should do what you've done and have the courage to look into themselves and say, I'm not going to deny that part anymore. He says, I'm not suggesting that you're in denial or you've denied. I said, oh yes, I denied for more than 50 years. So now, in fact, I've said to my wife, is this how other people live? Without this cloud, without this constant I'm not right in your head, regardless of what you're doing. It must be great living like that. Well, it is, because that's how I am now. Anyway, as I say, I'll edit my stuff out. I've just looked at the time. It's almost 10 minutes to 9 my time, so it'll be nearly 10 to 4 years, I would think.
Yes, that's correct.
That's running a bit. Okay, let's move on to another. Well, do you have something else you'd like to say about your time at CDH? Or anything at all that is, I mean, now you told me you're married.
Yes, I am married.
And did your wife always know, or did you go through the talk process?
The way that worked, somewhere in my mid-teens, I gave up dressing. And what I find now is the funny thing is, I didn't miss it, from say about 16 to around 30 when I got together with my wife. I had girlfriends from time to time. I never had the urge to borrow their lingerie till I was around my wife for a while, and then the urge was sort of overwhelming to wear some of her lingerie. The thing is, I never hid it from her. And she thought it was kind of cute. And then we went on like that for like decades.
Okay.
But my urge slowly got stronger. And then one year, I was pretty good for sizes. One year I bought her some fancy stuff for Christmas, which didn't fit. But guess what? And this is purely by accident. It happened to fit me reasonably well. So then I had some more. And my wife would let me dress up every month or two. And usually on a Saturday night after my kids went to bed. And she was happy. That was okay, because as far as she was concerned, I was still her guy. And then it was around the time, like, the urge had been getting stronger and stronger for a few years, till when I joined CDH. And then, as I said before, I exploded. My femininity just exploded out, because finally I'm finding my true self. And that was unsettling for my wife, because she didn't know what the hell's going on with me. Like, she's worried that she's going to lose me. And I said, oh no. And then we were okay with that. Okay, you're dressing up. Okay, that's fine. That's fine. At the time, the kids were gone. One moved back in, and during the pandemic hasn't moved back out. But he knows. And then when I wanted to go out, and then when I was bitten with the bug to go out, that was really unsettling for her. Now, and she's a remarkable lady because of this, she is the treasurer of the group that I'm president of.
Brilliant.
So she comes out with me, not every time, but from time to time, and because she's a retired accountant, so that's her thing. You know,
Yeah.
I'm not a money person, whereas she's good at stuff like that, and making sure the books balance and
Okay. Yeah.
so so it works. The one thing she has stated that she doesn't believe she could handle or stay is if I decided I had to have surgeries and become full-time. And
Okay.
and that is something I think about often. And sometimes somebody says something, I said, well, they're fake. They're really good fakes. They cost me a lot of money, but they're fake. It would be really nice to have real ones. But as a trans friend who does have implants, said, well, once you do that, there's no hiding. You know, because you've got these boobs there, and on a slight frame. It depends on men, sometimes develop it, as we all know, but not on my frame. If I had these like C cups, like, everybody's going to notice, right?
Yes.
And it's, you know, like, suddenly I go from a nearly flat chest to a buxom one. So that's a compromise that I'm willing to live with. I believe I'm willing to live with, because it's not only my wife, it's all the other. Some of the family knows, a lot don't. And then the other parts of my life, that where I'm well known as a as a car guy. I hate using that term here. And then suddenly I show up as Amy. So I don't know where that would lead. So that what it comes down to is being full-time is a price I don't want to pay. I have that urge sometimes where it's almost painful getting undressed and going back to male mode.
Yeah.
Mentally, of course. In a weird way, it's so bizarre because what is this? This is a dress. I'm wearing a bra with silicone to give me boobs, pantyhose. Right, you can't see them, but I am wearing pumps. It's just clothes. It's just, and the makeup, it's just stuff on my face. But oh my God, does it make me feel good?
Yeah.
And it's like, it's not really sexual. And I find that it just feels like the real me. And then I wonder if this is the real me, what's the male side? The male side is a real person as well. So this is some of the confusing things I think a lot of us go through.
That's why I will describe myself as being somewhere in the middle of the spectrum because, well, we've got two halves to a brain.
Yes.
It stands to reason. Human beings are like that. You know, we have two halves of everything. So yeah, there's this part which I really like, and I totally get your point about I look good. I look much better like this than I do as a guy. Not a classically handsome guy, never have been. But the first time I got fully made up, looked in the mirror, and I'm only talking about a year or so ago, less than that probably, without the beard anyway, looked in the mirror and thought, wow, oh yes, I like this. This is me. This is me. And I actually like what I see in the mirror. Whereas before it's meh. But no, now, and so I totally understand that. And as I've said, I think it's because this side of me was hidden and denied for so long. It's really refreshing to be able to get out and be the other side of me. And I think there's a lot of us like that. I mean, there's people that are panty wearers and that's their thing, and that's all they want to do. Then you've got the other end of the scale, you've got like Liz, you've got Fluff, who, although not undergoing surgery, she's socially transitioned. She lives as a woman 24/7. I think she goes to her parents and there's maybe she'll give a nod to the parents by not wearing a full dress or something like that. But she's always got the nails done. She has, it's, yeah, I totally get it. And I think it's healthy. It's very healthy for the head to be able to do this and to do so without guilt. I also totally get the thing about it's not sexual. In my younger day, when the hormones are raging, yes, it was. No longer though. It's relaxation. It's lovely. It's just I'm being who I am authentically, and I love it.
Yes, well, one of the things you said there about me resonates a lot. I much prefer how I look as Amy rather than just as I'm refer to it as like a plain man, just
okay,
a regular guy. And I'm losing an eyebrow here. But so yes, I'm the way I sometimes describe myself is that I'm sitting on the trans fence. I'm not trans. but I'm way closer to that than a casual CD. And and being president of Expressions so long, we have over 200 members. Not all, there's a lot that aren't very active, but it has brought me into contact with so many others. And we have such similar stories. And one of the things is that I've said is we're all the same, but we're all different because our stories are all a little different. And we may have started out as genetic males and then are blending over to be female somehow. By somehow, I mean whether you're casual, someone's a casual closeted cross-dresser, or getting a little out there like you and I are, or all the way to living as a female. So then a friend of mine that I had lunch with 2 days ago is fully legally transitioned to be female in legally under federal and provincial rules in Canada. So the driver's license and passport and everything is now says female. I'm unlikely to go that far, but I'll add earrings.
Yeah.
Or clip-ons. Hated them. For my 70th birthday, I said, I'm getting my ears pierced. And I did. And what I couldn't believe was how nobody commented. Like a couple of months, whenever my birthday is in October, I go to a car club meeting with a bunch of guys and I have these little gold ball earrings in both sides. Not these. Maybe these are the comments. People must have seen them, but nobody said a word. Not that I mind. I probably wouldn't tell them the truth. I would say, you know what? It's like the beard. I had it a long time. It was time for a change. And 21st century, guys can do this. I don't know, something like that, right? I probably wouldn't go out and show them all the pictures of me up on stage doing drag and all that kind of stuff. But anyway, so that's very interesting going under the radar like that when I thought for sure somebody's going to say something. Never happened. So
no. I had one ear pierced. Almost 50 years ago, I think. I was early 20s, I think, is when I got it done. But only the one. And I would have dangly ones, though. I would have parrots and stuff like that dangling from it, from the one. And people would just say, "Oh, that's just you." that's what we come to expect from you. Because I've never been one for suit and tie or jeans, t-shirt sort of thing. My male clothes have always been a bit more colourful. A lot of hippie stuff, big baggy, loose trousers, granddad shirt things that we've got. I remember my mum knitted me leg warmers. Do you remember in the late 70s, early 80s, there was a fashion for leg warmers? Well, I had white dungarees with the Rasta colours, red, gold and green leg warmers, and thought nothing about going out to the pub. My wife never mentioned it either. She just, wear what you like. Even that didn't gather a lot of comments.
Right.
But just last year, yes, I got both. I did have the clip-on earrings. Oh, I hated them. Some of them were okay to wear, but 2 hours later when you take them off, oh, ouch. It was like something pulsating in my ear and really sore. Whereas I got these done and now I can wear what I like. Day to day in male mode, I either wear studs or I've got small hoops. Yeah, just wee hoops about that size. No comments. And similarly, I have the nails done all the time. No comments. I mean, they might be thinking, they might be talking to themselves once I've gone away, but no one said anything to me. Anyway, I'm digressing. Okay, I said we'd be about an hour. We're slightly gone over that. Would you like to add anything else before we close up? Given that, but I still would like to go through and review some of this stuff that we've recorded.
Of course. I guess what I will say, and as you're editing this, is that I'm now convinced that if it hadn't been for CDH, I would have found another way out of the closet. However, CDH came along, somehow found its way into my life at the right time. At somehow the right time. I kind of wish I'd found it sooner, because I now regret all the years, as probably many others do, that I just lived in shame, in fear. I would dress and then it'd be over and I'd sort of scratch the itch a bit. And then it's like, oh my God, why did I do this? Right? And then, I'd almost hate myself sometimes because I've done that. So thanks to CDH for coming into my life when it did and providing me the support and the opportunity to network with so many other people. And like you, I feel much happier, much more satisfied with my life now than I think I ever have.
Yeah, understandable. Well, I would just say thank you very much for sharing all this stuff with us, Amy, and I'll give you a heads up when we're going to be publishing it. But of course, you'll get to see the edited version before we do that. Now, I would be wanting to credit you on this as the titles, the contributors, if you like. Are you okay with that?
Absolutely.
That's fine. I'll make sure that's done as we're going through the outro thing once it's all put together in production. Right. Allow me to stop this recording just now. I think we might be able to review it. I've got an awful feeling that stay in the studio until the outro finishes playing, or the broadcast may not. I'm going to play this. This outro lasts for 33 seconds, Amy. I'll do it now.